For some context, I'm a teenage male, and this happened when I was around 17 years old. Back then, I used to see all these videos on YouTube about Omegle horror stories and pranks. Now, I'm not particularly brave or anything, but if I'm bored, I often find myself going to drastic measures to find something to do. After thinking for a while, I built up the courage to go on Omegle. I wanted to be funny, so I didn't respond to anything or anyone. I then came across this guy that kept saying for me to talk, or else. And being a teenager, I wanted to make him mad, so I asked what he'd do in the chat. All he said was, "You should talk more," and then left. I feel pretty proud of myself for being a jerk, but slightly disturbed, so I turned Omegle off to work on some homework due the next day. After a few minutes of doing homework, I heard my dogs barking, and they wouldn't stop even when I told them to. I figured maybe somebody made a loud noise, or even had a dog whistle. After calming down my dogs and getting back to my homework, I heard the noise this time. Somebody had knocked at my back door. My back door is gated with a 4-foot fence and a lock. The only way somebody could get in is if they had a key or jumped it. After looking outside for about 10 minutes, I called my dad and told him everything. He told me that when he gets home, he'll look around. I accepted that because he's a doctor and he's got a lot of work to do. Half an hour passes, my dogs are outside, and that's when I hear a thump outside my door. I looked around, and there was a rock with a note stuck to it. After that, I heard my dogs barking at our driveway. The note read, "I know where you live. I've never been this scared in my life. I just feel lucky to have 3 dogs in my house at all times." Now, I'm not the kind to show emotion or get scared easily, but that freaked me out. I'm shaking and on the nerve of calling the police. Was this just one big coincidence, or did the same guy from Omegle really somehow figure out where I live? When my friends and I were 15 years old, we went on Omegle a lot. I'm sure most of you already know what Omegle is, but if not, it's a chat website that pairs you with a random person for a one-on-one conversation. You can disconnect and start a new chat with someone else at any time. At the time, the website was still in its prime and hosted around 150,000 people online at all times. We liked to mess with people and would completely make up who we were. We were young and had a bad sense of humor. Well, one day, we decided to go on Omegle and say some very off-the-wall stuff. On that day, we decided to tell strangers that we had kids locked in our basement. For whatever reason, it was comedy gold in our 15-year-old minds, and we thought the reactions would be hilarious. We maybe told 1 or 2 strangers this, and they just disconnected. But then, we connected to a stranger who was either genuinely worried or wanted to play along with the creepy message. We told the stranger our joke for the day. The stranger asked why we would be so despicable and that he would call the cops. We laughed it off and disconnected. We connected to the next stranger, and the first message that popped up was almost unbelievable. "How are those kids in your basement?" We were shocked and disconnected immediately. We tried to laugh it off for a few seconds and connect to another stranger. While we were connected to another stranger, another message popped up in the chat. "I'm still waiting to hear about those kids." We decided to disconnect and reconnect one more time. The last message this person sent was, "I'm still here, and I'm still waiting for your answer." Finally, we came to our senses and got off the computer for a while. I remember being so worried that whoever that was called the cops on us. Luckily, nothing ever came of it. After that, we stopped going on Omegle as much. I still wonder if a moderator was on the site and had a way to keep connecting to us, or if it was someone who was good at hacking. I'm sure what we told that person freaked them out as much as they freaked us out. Overall, we learned a good lesson, and realized that we weren't as funny as we thought.